What's going on, everybody? It's Chef Grammer with the ABQJournal, and I am in the Save Mart Center in Fresno, California. We are about 45 minutes away from tip-off in Fresno, California, between the UNM Lobos men's basketball team and the Fresno State Bulldogs men's basketball team in the Mountain West. I guess 8.5 was the last spread I saw. Was, as usual, having some technical difficulties getting the show on, mainly because my laptop will not sign on to the Save Mart Center's Wi-Fi. And I have to be on my phone. I am on my phone's hotspot. We will see how that treats everybody. So glad you guys are here. Glad you guys are with us. I am looking out. You guys can see what I can see right now, sitting baseline, was where the media sits here in Fresno. And you can see that there's no big surprises in terms of availability for the Lobos. Milos Vicentich is in a walking boot. His right foot has a bone bruise. And we do now have a couple people sitting in front of us. Sorry about that. That literally, as you guys just saw, just happened. I wish that wasn't the case, but you get to watch the back of two heads now for the pregame show. And I could do this. I can show you guys Tomislav and Tomeo over here taking some corner threes. And since you can't see the basket, I'll just tell you they're all going in. Don't worry. They're all going in. So, anyway, UNM Lobos obviously can't afford to lose. There are 5 games left for the Lobos, and there are 3 games they can't afford to lose. That would be, or 2 games left that they can't afford to lose. That would be this one. That would be the at Fresno State game. That would be the home game against Colorado State in a week and a half. And then the 3 tough games they have, 2 on the road, 1 at home, would be at Nevada versus San Diego State, already sold out next Saturday in the pit. And then at Utah State for the season finale, regular season finale in Logan, Utah State. So those 3 games, they can lose those games and not be out of the NCAA tournament picture. Not all 3 of them, but any 1 game, any 2 games, not really going to take them out mathematically from any computer ranking, the net, the KenPom, anything. Wins against bubble, which is what the NCAA selection committee just this past week said is going to be a particularly important metric this year used by the committee. And it is one that just started last year. So that is one the Lobos are okay in. Not great. Doing okay in. They're in the 40s, and you better be at least in the 40s. If you're above 40, you're probably getting in the tournament, and they're kind of ranked in the 40s in that metric right now. So that's kind of where they are in all the metrics right now, right in the 40s. Couple, I think they are in the 30s. I think KPI and BPI maybe. No, not BPI. KPI, I think they're in the 30s, but I don't have it in front of me. So anyway, this is a Fresno State team that is dangerous. Jake Hybrider is one of the best shooters in the league. Zion Collins, a point guard, one of the best point guards in the league. So that would tell you they have one of the best backcourts in the league, one that has missed 4 of 11 Mountain West games. Either one of the 2 has missed. And this is a Fresno State team that did not have Zion Collins when they were in the pit last month. They were down by 20 and 5 minutes to go. They ended up scoring 25 points. Final score looked like a 9-point win. It was a 9-point win for the Lobos. But it probably made it look like a little more competitive game than it was. They scored 25 points in the final 5 minutes when UNM, to Fresno State's credit, they didn't quit, and UNM did back off a little bit. And it was a foul fest. Tons of fouls called in that final 5 minutes. And Fresno State was able to kind of cut the margin to a more respectable single-digit 9-point margin. But New Mexico was the better team that game by an awful lot. The big thing from that game and the 18 steals that UNM got was that Fresno State didn't have a primary ball handler. Zion Collins was gone. He is back today. And with Zion Collins back, Fresno State is not going to have 18 steals by the Lobos today. That's just not going to happen. 29 points off turnovers is going to be really hard to come by if you're the Lobos. I don't see those things happening with Zion back. That said, the Lobos have some other ways, obviously, to attack this Fresno State team. They have some other ways to attack all the teams in the league. And what they've been doing really well is showing a kind of a flexibility, an ability to do it in a lot of different ways. And there's Uriah Tenet's dad is here. There he is on the screen now. But Uriah Tenet's dad made the trip, and he's saying what's up to everybody. He just came by. But, yeah, the Lobos have shown an ability to do a lot of different things. What they kind of shown in the last 2 games that they hadn't shown, the wrinkles, were at Grand Canyon. They went to zone. First time they went to zone since November 20th loss to Nebraska. First half they played zone, got their tails kicked, and kind kind of said, all right, we're done with zone. We're going to play man in the second half. They cut it to 4, end up losing by 12. But they quit playing zone at halftime of the November 20th loss at Nebraska, or to Nebraska, neutral court loss. It was in Kansas City. And they quit playing zone then. So they played man up until, from that point all the way until final 6:33 of the game at Grand Canyon, went to zone, shut down Grand Canyon from that point on. They came up with 12 stops in the final 14 possessions for Grand Canyon. 12 stops in 14 possessions is tremendous defense. No matter what no matter who you're playing, no matter what you want to say, 12 and 14 is amazing to get that many stops. And that's what the Lobos got when they went to zone and kind of gave Grand Canyon something to think about that Grand Canyon couldn't solve in time to pull that game out. And that was a game the Lobos led big, but they were trailing at the time they went to the zone because Grand Canyon made a big comeback. So that was the wrinkle they showed a week and a half ago in Phoenix. The wrinkle they showed Tuesday when they were playing Air Force in anticipation of Air Force having their two best defenders who did not end up playing, but anticipation of those two guys having been playing pretty good as of late, the Lobos said, all right, we're going to try big. We've not done it all year. Tomislav Bullion and JT Rock usually alternate minutes. They get 40 minutes between the two, and then those 40 minutes, they never overlapped until Tuesday when they overlapped for about 6-7 minutes, and it was pretty good. I mean, +7 in about 7 minutes. That's, you beat a team by 40 in a 40-minute game. That's about what the rest of the game was, too. So it wasn't better than the rest of the game. It wasn't worse than the rest of the game. It was about the same. But what they liked out of it is the rebounding obviously is tremendous when you have both of those guys on, because Tomislav Bullion's the best rebounder in the league. And then you add JT Rock, who's a 7'1" guy. You're going to get a lot of boards, right? And against an Air Force team that was obviously struggling to rebound anyway, that's where you're at. They got an awful lot. Tank just got drilled in the head with the ball. That is Tom Tinklewitz. So instead of giving you that angle, the reason for those that are just joining us that I kind of gave you this angle is because these guys just sat down in front of me once I went on air. So there you go. So anyway, between the big lineup and the zone, those are two new wrinkles in the last two games. I would tell you that there's probably going to be a couple other things that you see before the end of the season. Not so much that it's something that Eric Olin wants to go to exclusively, primarily for a lot of minutes, nothing like that. He does like the idea of another team having to waste a few minutes of their practice and prep time on different wrinkles. So you could see a couple new things like that, and it'll be situational. I don't think big. I don't think zone defense is anything you're going to see for extended stretches at any point the rest of the season, be it postseason or not. But it is something they can go to a few possessions at a time, a few minutes at a time during a game maybe, to help them out. And that's all they want out of it. At this point, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel and get a whole new defense or a whole new offense and go big. But if you can get a few minutes a game out of it, that's good. That's where those are the margins, right? And you got to win in the margins. And in a 40-minute game, you go 2-3 minutes at big, and you win those 2 or 3 minutes. You get those 8 possessions, and you win those 8 possessions. That's probably enough to win a whole lot of close games otherwise. So that is what they're doing with that. I will move this back here so you guys can see these guys shooting. We got Luke Hop, Dayton Albury, and Tajavis Miller taking some corner threes right now. I'll tell you, all these guys have actually been playing pretty good as of late. And see what questions we got here. Alex Vargas is in on YouTube asking if Howell will be back at all this year. The answer is the same, as they have not announced otherwise. They have not announced that he will be back. They have not announced that he won't be back. All they've announced is that they are starting to explore possibilities of applying for a medical red shirt. He did play too many games, but by rule, the game he got injured in was the game that made him ineligible for a medical red shirt. Because it was only that game and it was a first half injury, they are going to probably pursue it if they can. But knowing that it technically, the rules are what they are. They're written bylaws that the game he played, that number game, made him ineligible for a medical red shirt possibility. And as a result, the plan was always for him to come back at some point this season. And now they're kind of worried that even if he came back now, how long would it take him to get back up to speed, both in the offense and the defense, but just physically and all that kind of stuff. So is Chris Howell coming back? Don't know. They have not decided. There is not a final decision. It is not that they're hiding a decision from us at this point. They don't know what their decision is at this point. Can he come back? Don't know. Chad B, any new updates on Howell? No new updates on Howell. Eddie Brock, how is that media row? That's your seat for the game. This is the seat for the game. This is the baseline for media row. Got a table here and a table over here. And that is media row at Fresno. And that is a security guard. Those are some fans. Does Fresno have any injuries of consequence tonight? They got 2 guys out for the season, 2 reserve guards. They got Jake Hybrider, who did not play the last game and a half, or last couple games actually, because of back spasms. He is warming up. He's out there right now. You can see him on the other end of the court. He just took that 3-pointer. I would suspect Jake Hybrider is going to play. He is in uniform and warming up, so why he wouldn't play, I don't know. But with back spasms, you never know. If those tighten up in the next 30 minutes, so we're 33 minutes away from tip-off. Those back spasms kind of start acting up, and if he starts tightening up in the next 30 minutes, that's something that can get pulled at any point. I think their plan for the last 2 games that he missed, though, were to get him ready for this game. It's a home game. It's an important game. It's one that they think they can win. It is one that is an 8.5-point underdog. Certainly isn't out of the realm of possibility that they could make a run at the Lobos and pull this one off. And it'd be a big game for them, right, in the standings. So Lobos are in 3rd place in the standings right now. Fresno State is in 7th, I believe. 8th, maybe. So what else we got? Desert Lobo in on YouTube is the Calzano and Wilmer podcast, paid by the Pac-12 to be pro Pac-12, because they always seem to be. They have sponsors. I mean, they have commercials and sponsors. They have a lot of Pac-12 insiders. I do know, don't talk to the Mountain West a whole lot, because I've talked to people in the Mountain West who always wonder why they do not get a call and do not get a text and do not get a, hey, can you comment on this? They talk to the ADs of the departing Mountain West schools regularly, but are they paid by the Pac-12? No, they're not paid by the Pac-12. Steve is in. Hopefully Chol continues playing like he did against Air Force. We need him down the stretch. I would tell you that not just Air Force, but his 12 points in the first half at Grand Canyon don't give the Lobos the big lead that they needed to then sustain the big run that Grand Canyon made in the second half and give them a chance to win. So it's 2 games in a row now I will give Chol credit for, not just the Air Force game, but also the previous Wednesday's win at Grand Canyon. Nick is in on YouTube. Hey, Jeff, just wanted to say I appreciate the work you do and the way you show up for this community. It doesn't go unnoticed. I appreciate that, Nick, and I appreciate you guys for showing up to these shows and giving us some feedback during the shows and just coming along for the ride. Any chance Owen spends just 1 year at UNM? Sure. Yeah, and he's going to get offered a whole lot more money in the next month to go somewhere else. So, yeah, there's a chance he leaves. But without knowing what offers he gets, it's all just speculation. I mean, he did spend 21 years at the previous gig. He has not been here 12 months yet. So if you want to read into his name being thrown around for jobs, certainly can. It is certainly something that I, as a beat writer, am going to talk to the athletic department, talk to the president's office, talk to the decision makers, talk to Eric, talk to his agent. And I did all that this past week and had a story about all that. Who's making the decision? Are there negotiations being or discussions about renegotiated contracts being had right now? There are. And all those things are taking place right now. But he also, it's 2 weeks of a regular season left, a week of a Mountain West tournament. And then the hope is for he and the Lobos, Mountain West or an NCAA tournament. As you can see over there, that is Jake Hybrider walking off the court right now. We'll see if he goes. He does. He went to the locker room a little while ago. He just went as far as the exercise bike right there to just try and stay hot, stay loose. He does not want to tighten up. His back spasms have been giving him an issue. That's why he's missed a couple games. Jake is one of the best shooters in the league, as is Jake Hall of the Lobos. It is a Jake versus Jake shoot-off tonight in the Save Mart Center. Why do opponents seem to get so many backdoor layups than we do? Go Lobos. I will tell you, Steve, that earlier in the year they weren't. That changed about conference time when the Lobos extended their defense for the first time all year out on the perimeter, they were giving up a ton of three-point opportunities. They still do in general, but what they were doing up until that point was they were never giving up backdoor cuts. Really, I shouldn't say never. They gave up. I can remember one right now at VCU that they gave up, but they were rarely giving up backdoor cuts and all that kind of stuff. Then they extended their defense to the perimeter to prevent the really high, the potent Colorado State three-point shooting offense. And to do that, they wanted their defenders up tight on them on the perimeter. So when they did that, they obviously gave up a lot of space behind them and a lot of back cuts and stuff like that. So since then, they've been extending their defense a little bit more man-wise. When they went back to the zone at Grand Canyon, I would tell you the zone kind of prevents a few more of those. There are some opportunities, certainly, in a zone to have some back cuts and stuff like that. But I would tell you that the back cut thing is when they are extended out to try and stop perimeter shooters. And when they extend out to try and stop those perimeter shooters, those back cuts become a lot more of an option. As far as so many more backdoor layups, more is partly because there's not a whole lot in the Lobo offense that involves back cuts and stuff like that. They have some of it, but their movement is kind of a drive and kick out, drive and kick out, drive and kick out kind of thing. A couple dumps to the if you're in the dunker spot like Tomislav Bullion will sometimes be. That kind of stuff, but not a whole lot of back cuts. There are some, and you will see some, but there's not a whole lot of back cuts in the Lobo offense. So the discrepancy is always going to be higher to the opposing team, just because the Lobos offense doesn't run much that would kind of have back cuts as part of the offense. So. What's guarding Gary tonight? Hop Chol. Who's guarding Gory tonight? Hop Chol. I don't know. I'm not privy to the game plan, but I will let you know as soon as I find out. I would imagine if Deshaun Gorey has the type of game at all early that he did in the pit, which is probably the best stat line, as I wrote in today's preview info box. I think it's probably the best stat line of the season in the pit. Was his 31 points, 12 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. I can't remember. Some steals, hit 4 3-pointers. Deshaun Gorey's stat line in the pit was probably the best individual stat line in the pit this year. There've been some other guys that have scored in the 30s too, but overall stat line, I think Deshaun Gorey had that. So who stops him tonight? First of all, if he does that again, I would imagine Luke Hop's going to get the primary assignment, but we'll see. We shall see. Zion Collins being back, and he wasn't in the pit when Deshaun did that the first time. Zion Collins being back will kind of affect some of that as well. I think Zion Collins is a great distributor and a great point guard, but does sort of alter what Zion Collins may or may not do tonight. Am I expecting a tight game? I mean, yeah, a single-digit win. I don't think the Lobos – well, I don't know. I mean, I picked the Lobos to cover 8.5, so I guess I can't say it'd be out of the realm of possibility that they win by double digits. A lot closer to that than a loss. So, I kind of expect a close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. I think Fresno State didn't perform very well at Wyoming. I think they have been hit a little bit with the injury bug. I think New Mexico's a better team. I think they match up better than them. But Fresno State's a better team than fans want to give them credit for. Their record is 6-9. They've had a lot of really good moments this year and not really pulled off that major upset. But I would tell you, Fresno State's good, man. Like, their defense is good. Keep them in games. They got a great shooter, a great point guard, a great forward, and Deshaun Gorey at the 3. And they can rebound. Like, they do everything that good teams do. And, they can beat the Lobos. CSU looking good against San Diego State currently. That's right. I should probably pull up the score. You guys probably know it quicker than I do because I do not have it up right now. All right. San Diego State, Colorado State. We got Colorado State up 59-49 with 9:53 remaining in the second half. I would tell you that Colorado State has won 3 of the last 4 games in Fort Collins between San Diego State and the Rams. I would also tell you that the one time San Diego State won in those 4 games went to overtime. It took overtime to do it. So the last 4 times the Aztecs have gone to Fort Collins, it has not been a great outing for the Aztecs. I would also tell you the Aztecs aren't playing great basketball right now. Not only did they lose to Grand Canyon, they just haven't been looking very good to me. They haven't been looking very sharp. They're happy they don't have to play at elevation and all that kind of stuff. This is a game at elevation, not one that they're getting rid of by the new Pac-12 because Colorado State's going. But, San Diego State seems really in years like this, they seem really focused on explaining their losses. I noticed after the Grand Canyon loss the other night, there was some follow-up. Ziegler had a follow-up article, and Dutcher was even talking about it. I'm sure answering the question about it. But, instead of talking about why they lost on the court, the follow-up kind of conversation around the program was like, Grand Canyon has so much NIL money because they don't have football. Well, okay, that didn't have anything to do with the game, but they also talked about how Grand Canyon joining the league, the Mountain West a year early, might backfire because it might cost San Diego State, might even cost Boise State postseason runs. Well, Boise State's not getting in, trust me. And San Diego State, if the explanation of you losing is about, hey, look, it might backfire that they're here. Well, no, maybe you just lost. And I would tell you that when San Diego State has struggled through the years, they really over-explain factors that have nothing to do with the game. They lean in heavily to the altitude stuff. They lean in heavily to other factors, officiating, stuff like that. And they've been starting to do that. That's the red flag I'm seeing right now with San Diego State is they got Magoon back. And they kind of been telling themselves in the back of their mind for a lot of this season, man, when Guaf gets back, we'll be fine. And, well, he's back now. And then there's another thing and maybe another injury or something. But, it's rarely just about them struggling. And when they know, I think deep down, when they inside, when they kind of know that they're vulnerable, they start over-explaining some other stuff. And I've been seeing a lot of that lately around the program. I still think they're a great team. I still think they're the second best team in the league right now. But I don't see them catching Utah State. That said, they get Utah State at home. And I'm not putting anything past, Viejas Arena's ability to catch up to the league's best team right now in Utah State and the Aztecs maybe being able to beat them. But I'm not going to predict it, but it can happen. I also just see a San Diego State team right now that just seems vulnerable, and it seems like they know it. Franklin Fay is in on YouTube. Do you anticipate a mass transfer of Lobo players in addition to graduates if Coach Olin leaves? Absolutely. They're here for Coach Olin. Players don't come here for UNM. UNM fans, sorry. Players aren't here because of UNM. They're here because of Coach Olin. They were here for Patino a year ago, and the entire roster left when Patino left. They had the same amount of NIL to stay. Some of them were going to get more money to stay and didn't stay. So, if I was on the UNM pregame show right now, I'm sure I would be telling you that they were here for UNM. I'm not on the UNM pregame show. I'm going to be honest with you. None of these players are staying if Olin leaves. I shouldn't say none. It depends who stays, who gets the coaching job and, what their options are to go somewhere else. But, yeah, if Olin leaves, I would say most of these guys leave too because they're here for Olin. Olin was the guy recruiting Jake Hall since he was 13 and Uriah Tenet last year. UNM didn't call either one of them. UNM never even made a phone call to those two guys. Eric Olin did. But, these guys, other than Antonio Cho was the one guy that was recruited by Patino and by Olin, who ended up coming here, coincidentally, being recruited by both of them. But it wasn't that he came to UNM because Richard Patino and company recruited him. He came to UNM because of his fit in Olin's system. John Romero's in on YouTube. Gigi, really appreciate your extensive coverage of hoops throughout the season. We're extremely fortunate to have your expertise and talent. Thank you, sir. I don't know about expertise or talent, but I am here. And I do talk Lobos a lot. So there you go. I appreciate that, John. Thank you. Nick is in. Franklin Fay, your woofer is adorable. I did not even see that on mine. It didn't even show the little pictures. So, Chad B wants to know if there's any Mountain West coaches on the hot seat at this point in the season. Well, Joe Scott's not on the hot seat anymore. Joe Scott was fired yesterday at Air Force. Mutually parted ways. His mutual parting of ways comes after a month-long indefinite suspension into his treatment of cadet athletes and his poor treatment of cadet athletes, to be a little more specific. And he yesterday he and the academy said positive things about each other on his way out the door. He got fired, and that is one job that is going to be hard to fill with an experienced Division I experienced head coach. If he has any intention, I've not talked to Dave this week, but if Dave Filipovich has any desire to go back to Air Force, they would be lucky to get Dave Filipovich back. Don't know if that's going to happen. There are some other people in charge of athletics at Air Force that have made some decisions and kind of led athletics there sort of down the path of get rid of Dave Filipovich. Let's go hire Joe Scott. Let's are things going to get any better? They're certainly not getting better on the NIL front, but Dave Filipovich would be an asset to the Air Force athletic program and Air Force basketball, and Dave Filipovich would be a tremendous hire if he has any desire for he and his wife to go back there. I do think he wants to be a head coach again. That would be great. I don't know where he will be a head coach again. So maybe he goes back home to Air Force. Maybe they right or wrong when they got rid of him the first time. Are we expecting Hal back at all this year? Don't know. I'm sorry. I was going to say, that was already asked. It's because I am on the wrong set of questions. So, what do you have? Who do you have? Alex is asking. Who do you have winning player of the year, freshman of the year, etc. at this point of the season? I have Mason Falslev right now is my leader in the clubhouse for Mountain West player of the year. His stats are unbelievable. His not just scoring, but if you look at his on-off stats, like when he's on the court and when he's off, if you look at the plays he makes when they are made, like winning plays and winning moments kind of stuff, Mason Falslev is playing some tremendous basketball this year. Even if he might not be their leading scorer, I think MJ Collins might have passed him back. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, regardless, Mason Falslev is the Mountain West Player of the Year in my mind right now. Jake Hall is the Freshman of the Year. I'll tell you what, Tomislav Bullion, statistically, he's on KenPom top 5 in the Mountain West. So Tomislav Bullion's still in that running there. I would tell you that right now it's probably Jake Hall's award to lose, though. Some of the other ones, newcomer of the year, probably MJ Collins. MJ Collins is a newcomer of the year that I think, probably MJ Collins at Utah State. That's two big awards for Utah State, but that's fine. They're the best team in the league right now, too. So trying to think newcomers. Who else is a newcomer that I would put in that? I'm sorry, Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, of course. UNLV's Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn and MJ Collins are both in the running for newcomer of the year. Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, for those that don't know, it's kind of closing strong down the stretch, and I think he's up to 7 consecutive 20-point games. If you look at just the Mountain West stats, Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn is doing better than MJ Collins. Now, there's also the winning factor. MJ Collins is on the team. How much do you want a newcomer of the year to be on a winning team? How much do you want a freshman of the year to be on a winning team? All that kind of stuff. I think you want your player of the year to be on a winning team because I think player of the year has some MVP kind of connotation to it. Get into that debate, another discussion, another day. But you probably have to affect winning if you're going to be the player of the year. Newcomer of the year, I think, could just be the best guy who's a newcomer, and same with freshman of the year. And I would tell you that right now, Jake Hall works there for freshman. Now, for those that don't know, newcomer of the year, by definition, is the best non-freshman first-year player in the Mountain West. Freshman of the year is the best freshman, whether it's a redshirt freshman or a true freshman, just the best freshman in the Mountain West. And Tomislav Bullion, even at 23, qualifies as a freshman, and he is up for that award. But Jake Hall, I would say, is right now the leader in the clubhouse for that award. Coach of the year is Eric Owen to me. Jared Calhoun could still win it very much because they are the best team in the league. If Eric Owen and the Lobos kind of stay in this race, knock off one of these 3 tough ones that they have in their final 5, the at Nevada, the home versus San Diego State, the at Utah State, they get one of those wins, I think Eric Owen's going to be in the race till the end. If they get 2 of those wins, I think Eric Owen probably ends up winning this thing for Coach of the Year. Otherwise, Jared Calhoun's the other guy. I just don't see another coach right now that I would say is in the conversation. I think it's a 2-coach race right now. Has UNM indicated a target date to announce the new AD hire? I would tell you, Desert Lobo, that they begin their initial round of interviews this past week. They have another slate of interviews this week. When that initial round of interviews is over, it gets whittled down to a potential list of it could be one of two things. It could be a list of 5 or 6 guys that they then try and whittle down to a finalist list of 3 or 4, or they could go ahead and in that step whittle it down to the 3 or 4 finalists. Those finalists will have to get interviewed by then not only the committee and President Stokes, but those finalists will be on campus and be interviewed. So a target date, I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks is sort of the target there, the loose target. I think 3 weeks is probably a little more accurate. I don't know that. I think they may have one by the NCAA tournament. I don't know that they would have one by the Mountain West tournament, which is only just a couple weeks away. So there you go. Internal candidate got interviewed this past week. I believe another internal candidate will get interviewed this week. Make what you will of that. Excuse me. Nick's in on YouTube. With all the league movement happening, is there a school or a city from the old Mountain West you'll genuinely miss visiting? And is there a new city on the future excited to see? I do like, Grand Canyon's already in the league right now, but like they are one of the newcomers. I do like that Phoenix is on the rotation because my sister and nieces live in the Phoenix area. So I have some family reasons that Phoenix is a good stop for me. UC Davis gets us into that California area that is probably cool. Get some versatility on what else I can do on the trip if I land in the correct spot and fly to the correct spot. El Paso, used to have a grandma that lived there. She passed several years ago, but a fact that there's a drive is probably kind of nice, but no, nothing necessarily on the new side that like I like the city all that much. I do like the fact that I might be able to see friends and family in Phoenix a lot more. And as far as the cities leaving, Fort Collins, probably Fort Collins is the one I'm going to miss the most. San Diego's a great place, but it's not that I've done a whole lot while I'm there. It is, it's fairly expensive to blow much money, on a just me by myself without the family kind of one night in San Diego in January kind of thing. It's great weather, but like there's not a whole lot I'm doing necessarily in San Diego. If this was like a weekend trip or something that I had family with me, I think San Diego and the beach would be great, but it's not like I go, surfing on my basketball trips to San Diego. Does Fern Lobos leaving heighten the chance Coach Olin will leave or no effect? Don't know. He wants to see who his boss will be, I can tell you that. He wants to see if Ryan Berryman gets the job. He would love it if Ryan did get the job, I can tell you that. I would tell you, too, that it all really is going to come down to what he gets offered. If he gets offered $5 million a year to go coach back in California, if he gets $5 million a year to go where he and his wife are from, they're both from Alabama. Maybe he gets something in the Alabama area. I'm not saying Alabama, mind you. University of. I'm saying that in that area, maybe he goes home again, something like that. So, like, I don't know what Eric's plans are. The Fernando Lobo part of this, it affects it in as much as he wants to know who his boss is. Wouldn't we all, right? He kind of put himself in a position to be a hot commodity coach a year ago, take a job. He finally did, and then the guy that hired him that he trusted when he took the job is gone. So, yeah, that does affect a coach's decision. Can't go wrong with Hawaii either, right? Yeah, of course, Hawaii. I actually have family there too, so maybe I can make that trip. Maybe they'll let me make that trip. That might be the Journal might finally say there's a trip you will not be taking, and that is the Hawaii one. We'll see. If they play a Tuesday night game in Hawaii, I don't know if the Journal's sending me or not, but we'll see. Does Coach Olin's salary competitive with San Diego State, Utah State, and Boise State? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there is nothing non-competitive about Eric Olin. I'm not saying it's the best, but there's nothing non-competitive about Eric Olin and Lobo basketball in the current Mountain West. They are not in the Pac-12 because of football. The Mountain West is where they are because football did not invest and wasn't a good program until this year, and facilities suck, and that is why UNM basketball remained in the Mountain West and didn't get a Pac-12 invite. If it was just basketball, UNM would have been one of the first teams on the list, and it was not. In fact, it was not about basketball pretty much at all. Once they did form a league, though, that's when they said, okay, now let's go get Gonzaga for basketball-only purposes and stuff like that, and it's going to be a great basketball league, and it sucks that the Lobos aren't going to be in it. All right, guys. That is it. What else we got here? Nope, that is it. That is all your comments. We are now 10 minutes away from tip-off. I'm signing off. ABQJournal.com is where you're going to be able to find my post-game coverage. It's where you're going to be able to find the post-game videos that I post later, as well as on social media and the Journal's YouTube account page. And tomorrow morning, emptying the notebook, and I will be driving from Fresno to Reno between games. So when I do that, I will hopefully not get stuck in the mountains at Donner Pass. Go look it up, kids. Donner Pass is where I will be traveling through the snow to get to Reno. And let's just hope it turns out better for me than it did for that travel party about 150 years ago that got its name for. So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. ABQJournal.com.